Hi, everybody. My name is Leon Thomas. Welcome to Real Thoughts and Conversations, show where we talk about things that are on folks' minds. We talk about things that are sometimes controversial or subject matter that folks don't want to talk about. We do it right here on Real Thoughts and Conversations. Thank you for joining us for our show. Let's talk about it. On this episode of Real Thoughts and Conversations, we're going to talk about caring for seniors, caring for our elder loved ones, and all the things that we have to think about other than just the physical care. My name is Leon Thomas. You're here watching Real Thoughts and Conversations. And today's subject is another real conversation that has to take place. If you can think of a subject that would be great for us to talk about here on Real Thoughts and Conversation, send me an email. My name is Leon Thomas. Send the email to leonthetrainer at gmail.com. Real Thoughts and Conversation airs every Wednesday at 7 o'clock on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And from time to time, we'll have special edition shows just like this one that may appear on some other day other than Wednesday. So if you'd like to be a panelist on some of our panel discussions, or you have an idea of something that would be a great show topic, please let me know about it. We want to have great conversation. So today, we're going to talk about what it is, what goes on when we're caring for not only an elder loved one, but a loved one in general that may be going through an illness, things that caregivers go through, but not just the physical part of it, all the legal things that have to go through and the things that we sometimes aren't even aware of until it's time for those things to happen. And joining us tonight, we have Ann Rasenko and Eugene Morris Jr. Ann, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm groovy. Yes, I am. And Eugene, great to have you with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me on this evening.
Great. My pleasure to have both of you here. So I'm going to kind of set the table and then give you a chance to introduce your situations that you dealt with or are currently dealing with. And then we'll have some other kind of topical discussions. So all of us have dealt with either caring for a loved one, a spouse, or an aging elder loved one, a parent. And we were in that position. We had to provide the care for them. And we've had conversations about all the things that we've had to go through. So, Ann, let's start with you. Tell us about, quickly, briefly about your situation. I know you were caring for your mom, and tell us some things about that. What was going on?
Well, when my mom got really sick this last time, well, actually, before she got sick this last time, when she had her last heart attack, she had made it very clear what she wanted her last days to be, which I think was very good that she started the conversation because usually the parents don't start the conversation, and that's what makes it hard. But in my mom's case, she was always a very strong woman. So she started the whole conversation as what she wanted, you know. So it gave me time to look into things like hospice care, home health care. It gave me time to look into things. And I was blessed that my mom had done accounting work when she was working. So she was very organized. So she had all her papers together. She told me where they were. So it was kind of easier for me than most people because my mom being so organized and wanting to start the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, one thing that I do want to point out to our listeners is that anything that you hear us tonight, Eugene, Ann, or myself say, as in these are things we did or things we suggest that you do, we're not attorneys. So don't take anything that we say and say, oh, because it was on the show, because it was on the internet, this is what we have to do because Leon said it, Ann said it, Eugene said it. No. But something else I want to point out, Ann and Eugene, I want to mention geographically kind of where you're from, because Ann, you brought something up just now that I want to make sure everyone's aware of. And I heard you use the term mum. You said my
Yes.
mum. So now that means that you're in a mum city or near a city where they use the term
In
mum.
Pittsburgh.
I didn't want you to say where you were, but now that you brought it out, we're going to go ahead and have that discussion now. Eugene is near a city, and so am I. I'm near a city where we're not even supposed to talk to Pittsburghers. Wink, 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 wink.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to play that out because, I don't know how many people were hearing mum and like, what is she talking about? Is she from England or what?
We all have our slang.
Yes, we do. Yes, and while we're on that subject, if you're ever somewhere and it says Maryland style crab cake, run the other way. All right, just run. So, Eugene, tell us about you. You had some uniqueness, some things that are going on. Also, explain briefly, what your situation is and was.
And again, thank you for inviting me on your show. My uniqueness was greatly with starting with my mom. It was last year, 2020. We were out and about, and she just said, I don't feel too good. And she just said, hey, I think it's something I ate. And I said, Mom, it doesn't seem like what you ate. I think there's more to it. So a few days went past, and the situation started getting worse and worse and worse. So I got a phone call from my dad and said, hey, you're going to come down here. I think your mom needs to go to the hospital ASAP. And so from that point on, once we got to the hospital, I knew it was very, very serious. And she was having chest pains, and we got her to the hospital, and it was more critical than what we thought. She had a massive heart attack. And at that time, the one hospital we was at, they did everything they could do. They moved it to a better hospital, which could handle everything that needed to be taken care of. And, the process started from there. The biggest thing that I see is, with the pandemic and everything, it was super, super rough. I was there holding my mom's hand, but my dad was home because he had some challenges and everything and couldn't be there from a disability standpoint. So, communication was key of letting him know what was going on. And of course, by that being his wife, even though it was my mom, he was the first, person of rights to let what was going on. And then, him and I was back and forth making a decision along with my mom, because she was still up and coherent, basically, to see and hear what was going on and what the doctors needed to do and diagnose her. But the advocacy is so important, being detailed, keeping great notes, staying with the doctors, nurses, and just working with everyone. Just, it's a tough situation. Everyone wants the best, but trying to remain calm is key. Making sure that you're working with the nurses and doctors as much as possible. And of course, keeping your family updated with what's going on, I think is very important. And, I have to say, heart attacks affect everyone differently. And my mom, she had sort of like a hiccup effect. She didn't really grab her chest. And so it affects everyone a lot different than men, where a lot of the men, grab their chest and say, hey, I have a chest pain. It didn't come over her like that. And it just progressed worse. She went from being a very vibrant, woman, moving and doing things for my dad, because he's legally blind. And then, and then basically, going down very quickly. She could barely stand. She could barely make one step. I literally had to carry her out the house, put her in a car, and get her to the hospital ASAP.
Wow.
A massive heart attack.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, that process went from September up through now, still a continuing process.
Now, my situation is I have three elderly relatives. I have an aunt,
Mhm.
96 years old,
Mhm.
lives on her own, does great.
Yeah.
Up until about a year and a half ago, she was still driving and
Mhm.
had someone not hit her parked car and totaled it, she would still be driving.
That's amazing.
My mom um, was doing great until February of 2020 when she fell, bumped her head, and has had a subdural hematoma. And I have another aunt that's has always lived with our family, lived with my mom. She's the youngest of the three sisters, and so when mom got uh, had the fall and she was in the hospital, that's when things really started to come to light for me and my brother. You know, mom used to say things like, well, here's an envelope, or if you ever need the information about my finances, it's in that drawer over there, and things like that, like many of us have heard. But then when your mom's in the hospital and they start asking for information, you kind of forget and don't know where things are. So Eugene, we'll start with you first on this one. When your mom was in the hospital, were there any legal papers? I know you mentioned that your father was still somewhat the person of responsibility, but you sound like you were the main advocate. What types of legal things were needed to be in place, or were they asking for that maybe you had already, or maybe that you didn't have in place that you wish you had if you hadn't, or so forth? Can you take a minute and a half or so and tell us some things about that, and then Ann will come to you on that one as well. So
Yeah.
Eugene, you go first.
Thank you for that question. Some of the stuff that we had to go through in the process. Thank goodness my mom was organized a little bit and had, a lot of her medical cards and information and other paperwork that we could get a hold of. That did help. But as we know, once you get to the hospital, there's so much paperwork as far as filling out forms, of non-responsibility, if you take this medicine or if you do this, these are the things that may or may not occur, as we know, from a legality standpoint. And I was the one to do, the research, the questioning, along with my mom, of course, that when she could sit up, to sign off on it. Thank goodness she was. And then, of course, before we signed or she got, we conversed together with my dad, and he was listening and said, okay, that sounds good. Let's move forward. So we worked as a team because, I'm the only son and, living son left. And then, my dad, and I were working together along with my mom. And thank goodness she was still able to understand and read, but also I followed up with those questions and legalities to go back and forth. And you're right. Some of the things are power of attorney and wills in place. That's important. And that things be updated. And as we know, until you pull paperwork out, you don't realize that I had a brother that was my younger brother. And, some things do need to be changed and updated. We mentioned that. So those things are being worked on. But until something happened, then you are able to really look at it and say, oh, my goodness, this needs to be up there. Or this needs to be changed from that standpoint. And, you just move forward from there. But a lot of things currently in the hospital is always paperwork to fill out. And so you have to be so careful reading everything from the medicines to what the doctors are doing and, and sign off. And we always get a copy of what you're signing for those copies. That's very important.
Okay. Right on. Thank you. And what about in your situation with your mother? Were there some things that you're like, oh, okay, we have this, or we don't have that? Did anything come up that you wish you had done before, or maybe that was in place and you're glad it was there?
Yeah, there was my mom did have a living will, which I was glad that was in place. Because my mom had had a stroke that was a mild stroke to begin with that wasn't too bad. But then after that, she had a heart attack. And like Eugene was saying, women have heart attack symptoms different than men did. My mom had extreme shoulder pain. She didn't have any chest pain at all. Hers was all in her shoulders. But that's when I really learned about what you needed to have when you go to the hospital. And I do agree that when they give you papers to read and sign, you do need to read them. And even if you have to take extra time, you do need to read them and to get copies of them. And then just make sure you communicate with all the doctors and the nurses. And then, like, then when my mom was in the hospital with her heart attack, she was still alert, so we could discuss things of what she wanted to have done, which is very, very important that the patient's involved. I was just glad that my mom still had her faculties, was able to discuss things with me. So it was easier for me to kind of, to explain to my brother what was going on and get him involved. But yeah, you do need to look at all different things with the doctors. Like, if your parents want home health care, if they want a nursing home, if they want, whatever they want, you just need to, keep everybody on the same page.
Hmm. Now, for me, one of the things that my mom had in place, my father passed away 20 years ago, and one of the things that our family attorney 20 years ago said we need to have in place was a living will and a power of attorney. And both of you talked about the aspects of how important those documents are, and that our parents, can fill them out, complete them, answer the questions about them, and so forth,
Mhm.
while they have their faculties,
Yes.
right? And so here
Mhm.
we are 20 years ago, and mom signs the documents and goes over with me and my brother. This is what I want. This is the way I want things to be. And we're going, yep, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You got it. You got it. And she goes in the hospital, and we didn't even know where the power of attorney documents were. We knew they had been signed,
Mhm.
and so one of the things I want to suggest is that folks at least know where the documents are,
Yes.
right? And so,
Yes.
we located them. And so the attorney pulls them and he says, these need to be updated because state laws have changed, right? Terminology's changed. We need to update them. We're like,
Mhm.
all right. So we had to update him. He actually came to the rehab facility to help us get them updated. Okay.
Okay.
But
Yes.
you both said some things like get copies of and make sure you have all your paperwork, right? Well, here's
Mhm.
something interesting that happens. I don't know, 6-7 months ago or so, mom was rushed to the emergency room, and they ask us for our power of attorney documents. And my brother has them. Bam, here you go. And they said, great, we're going to go over here and make a copy of them. So they go and make a copy of them. And it's like, I don't know, a 12-page document. They come back with 6 pages.
Oh no.
And he's like, no, we gave you 12. No, you didn't. You gave, look, and it got pretty hot, and so
Oh my gosh.
what ended up happening, the hospital agreed to have another set of power of attorney documents prepared at their expense.
Yeah, because they
And
made a
so
mistake.
they
Yeah.
made the mistake. And so now, whenever someone asks for that power of attorney and they say, we're leaving to make a copy, we're like, mm-mm. We're following you to the copy machine. Well, I'm going to stop and get some coffee first. Good. We're going to get coffee with you.
Yes.
Those documents are not going to be out of our sight.
Yes. Yes.
Because we don't want to
Right.
go through
Right.
this again.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
just things like that. Y'all talked about the importance of having that living will,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And to a lot of families don't respect what their loved one wanted, right? You hear them for years say, this is
It's
what I
hard.
want, right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
yeah. And so from that aspect of it. So
Mhm.
let's move on to something else that we need to have a conversation about. And I think many families should have the conversation, and that's regarding long-term care, right?
Yes.
When we talk about nursing home, we talk about only in-home care, we talk about maybe an assisted living facility. I'm gonna make some comments here on this one first, and then Ann, I'll come to you. One of the things I would like to suggest that families do is start looking at those types of facilities before your family member actually needs them. Start discussing and going around to take a look at the nursing homes, the senior facilities, and even start to investigate some of the home care options if that's something that's on the table. Don't wait until the time of need to start investigating.
Yes.
What I found out was, and Eugene and I, we have a background in the hotel business.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene, they have slick salespeople at these places.
Oh, yes, they do.
Right? They look good, talk good, smell good. And they're designed to get you in there, right? They're designed to get you in.
Yes.
They're it's a sales game. These are privately held businesses, most of them,
Yes.
that are designed to make money. So it's important to take a look before that pressure of, I need to find a place for mom that's there. Go now.
Yes.
Take a look so that you can have your right mind yourselves and not feel the pressure there. So now, Anne, your mom wanted to be cared for at home. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because of past experiences with my other relatives at nursing homes. And I would highly suggest, if you are thinking about putting an elderly parent in a nursing home, just go there. Don't make an appointment. Because when you make an appointment, that's when you get the salesperson. That's when you get the perfect picture, so to speak. Just go there like unannounced. Because then you get the real experience of the nursing home or the assisted living care. Okay. That's why my mom wanted home health care. So that's when I had to do some research to find out which one was the best home health care and which one wasn't. The one we went to when she had her heart attack they were perfect. They would call a half an hour just to remind you they were coming, or they would even call to say, I'm going to be 5 minutes late, or I'm going to be 10 minutes late. Is it still okay to come? But then later on, when she had her second stroke, that same home health care system was not up to par. So we went with a different healthcare system, which I really did like. And they did the same thing. They would call like a half an hour before they would show up, or if they were running late due to traffic or something like that, they would call. But it's like things you need to look into before the things happen.
I like that you said, don't make an appointment, just show up. It's a yeah. I like that. Eugene, what about that in your situation with your parents? Have y'all had that discussion, or where does that sit now? And what advice would you have for folks that are close to maybe having that discussion?
Yes, that was a great segue that Ann mentioned too. So with my parents, luckily, we were able to transition back home, but we did use the nursing service to come help my mom out to, check vitals and, other things like that the doctor wanted, because she was still very, very weak. And, I live probably like 35, 40 minutes away, and they wanted to make sure in between that, there was some assistance in making sure that she was still, making good health choices and taking care of the needs that she could take care of. And so myself, my dad, and the nurses, we would just follow up. And it's so critical to have the right, assistance with that. And we had some, good nurses. I can segue back a little bit into what Anne was saying with the nursing home. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was helping out an elderly couple, me and my girlfriend, and at the time, and what we did, the husband basically was sick, and he was put in several different nursing homes, and these nursing homes were not the best. Skipped around a couple of times. He fell out the bed. They just wasn't following up properly. And I agree, you have to check up. And I agree with you, Leon and Ann, on these nursing homes. They just sell whatever they sell, but the care is not always there. There's only maybe a few of them that really pay attention and have follow up. They're quickly to take your money and do other things, but sometimes they're not paid, as we say, attention to detail to help your loved one. And that's why a lot of people do in-home care. Sometimes it might cost you a little more, but you can keep an eye on your loved one, but also get assistance, because it is a financial burden. And plus it's a physical burden too, because there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of stress on yourself and sometimes the family, because you want to make sure your loved one gets the best care at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, our final piece that we want to talk about is that one that many families don't talk about. And I left it to the end just because it would have more of a hit, more of a more of a home run to it. And that's money. We'll get to, we're gonna get to the money here in a second. But I wanna tell y'all something when we talk about the slick salespeople and all that. So check this out. My mother and aunt were in their home, right? The home that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the discussion with them about it's time for y'all to go to an assisted living facility.
Mm-hmm.
And so after several months, they decided, and my brother and I started looking at assisted livings. And so we've narrowed it down to 2. I'm not going to tell you their names.
Right.
I'll just say 1 and A.
Okay.
So that way, even if anybody's aware of the full situation, they don't know which, it's 1 and A. It's not 1 and 2, meaning 2's worse. It's 1 and A. Okay. Because I'm trying to keep it legally clean. So the family decides that number 1 is where they're going to go. And number 1 brought the sales rep out to the house to see what mom's needs are. She's what's classified as total care.
Okay.
And they said they can provide total care.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't providing total care. And I called them on it. And I will tell you, I went off on them. Yes, I did. And I know both of you said stay calm. Okay. I didn't, so and 2 days afterwards, they call me and my brother into a meeting that says, we're not equipped to handle your mother. This was like 30 days after being there. We're not equipped to take care of her. But y'all knew. Your sales rep said, the nurse knew, everybody knew.
You knew ahead of time.
Exactly. They knew. And they said, basically, you have 30 days to find another place. I think that this happened to be in March. So as we all know, bonuses happen, you qualify for them at the end of March. And I just think there was a lot of money involved that they saw 2 people being able to come in and we're going to tell them yes, or not put all the information in a report. And it just left a nasty taste in my mouth toward that particular senior assisted living. Now, I'm not going to mention them here, but I will tell you what, if anybody wants to send me an email to leonthetrainer@gmail.com and we exchange phone numbers with each other, I will tell you who they were. Okay. I will tell you who they are. All right. So that's that. So now, you start talking about how you're going to pay for senior care. And Eugene, you mentioned, it costs more, and you talked about the in-home care and the experiences that you had with nursing homes and all. So often the time that we, as the caregivers, the loved ones, and I'm fortunate my brother is involved with taking care of my aunts and my mom and also, right? That the discussion of money happens when it's time to spend money or when there is a need for money. What type of surprises that either of you have, as in, I didn't know this account existed. I thought they had more. I thought they had less. They have it. I can't get access to it. Tell me some things that you've experienced with that. Eugene, let's go with you first on this one.
Sure. Thank you again. I was just surprised. My parents do a good well of juggling, and just making things work and taking care of their bills. Excellent at that. But, they were explaining to me how, they had 2 different insurances. One, of course, is Medicare, and the other is, company A, I should say. And so, you have to do that to offset the cost. But prescription drugs are just ridiculously high. And you have to have a credit card, and a credit card with a high balance. So you have to have excellent credit to be able to afford a lot of the medications, which thank goodness they do. But if you don't, you have to make arrangements, and prescriptions are so high. And, my dad is a diabetic for over 40 something years. And so insulin that's needed, if he doesn't get it, he's going to die. And then with my mom, with having a heart attack, she needed these medicines for her heart that are just ridiculously high. I'm just going to give general numbers, anywhere from 300 to 500 for each pill. I mean, for the prescription of the pills.
Wow.
And every time we went, the doctors are changing the medicine. And we're like, can we get a coupon with that? Can we get this? There's a discount. Can you give us a test? Do you have, something in the office that you can give us some pills with? Please don't keep switching this around. And I had to get them organized to say the medicines that's working in the hospital, you need to do at home. And so we, wouldn't be spending, ridiculous. It was just, this astronomically large amounts of money. And so cost, I agree, is super high. People shouldn't have to, luckily they could make it work, but it's still a struggle that, individuals have to, endure getting healed and getting well. And then you have this bill hit you every time, every month, and you need it. You can't live without this, the prescription for your heart or for high blood pressure, different things like that come down when you get, when you're not well and dealing with, heart attack and so forth, so on, or other secondary things like diabetes and, other things that break your body down that you need to live. And so, you request and try to get the most help you can, not just from your doctor, but also, other agencies, through your insurance companies, so forth and so on, and ask those questions from the prescription companies if you can get assistance, because there is money out there, because these companies make billions and billions of dollars. So, make sure you did it. And, again, that's another advocacy part, that you have to send information out, to those companies and do follow up. And so the one hospital, they did have someone that was advocacy with the hospital, and we worked with them significantly because they knew these drugs were high, but it's what helped. And luckily my mom's in like what they call cardiac rehab, which, you got to keep good physical activity, and they help you with your, diet and different things. She's been doing very well, but you still have to take these medicines to help, keep you alive. So cost is very, very high, and can be strenuous. And, here in the US, people should not have to be stressed, worrying about, getting well and getting hit, in your senior years with large bills. And then, the family having to do what it takes to make sure that everybody's well too. So.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And let's talk finance from your perspective. With your mom, were there any surprises, anything you didn't know, wish you knew in terms of the money of it all?
Well, my surprise, my mom had Medicare and another health insurance too, but I had remembered a long time ago, even before she had her fourth stroke, somebody in our state had told her about a pharmacy assistance program that if you're at a certain income, you can qualify for. And my mom's like, I'm never going to need it. But her friend really stressed it, just get it. Someday you may need it and it'll be there. And I was so glad to find out that my mom actually did listen to her friend, because like when she had her first stroke, all, the medications that she had to take, the extra prescription benefit that she actually took, that actually was offered to her free because of her income. I know some people that do get it, they do have to pay like a small premium. But my mom was lucky that she didn't have to. So that really helped with her medication, which really surprised me. The only thing that really kind of like shocked me with, I actually took FMLA from work to be at home with my mom when the nurses were coming here. That's one thing that I do think needs to be changed, that they need to have paid FMLA for people that are in these situations with their elderly parents.
Mhm.
But I was really surprised of how much the prescription assistance programs that we have in this state really helped. And it's really sad that I found out later on that the other states don't have this for the elderly. And it's really, really sad because it did help my mom. Like some of her prescriptions, like Eugene was saying, was like $300, $400 for like 1 month supply. She ended up only like paying $20 for the 1 month supply with this prescription program. I mean, she still had a cost, but it was a heck of a lot less than if she didn't have this prescription cost. So that's one thing that surprised me that she did have, and was a great thing that, that she listened to her friend before she actually got sick and applied for this program,
Isn't it something that your mom, the insurance, the prescription program you talked about that years ago, I don't want any part of it. I'll never need it and all that. And, we never know when we're going to need those types of services and that are available to us. And it's worth all of our while to at least, when we hear about a program like that, to at least, check it out.
Yes.
If we find out, it's nothing, it's not for us, okay, then it's not
And
for
fine.
us, but just not dismiss it right away, to really check it out, and then to share information. So, when you find out about something that's a home run, you pick up the phone, you text, or, whatever, because I know we're all of the age group where we're kind of stuck in the middle between that email, text, phone call, right? Because we have folks that are older relatives or friends, or we're picking up and calling. And we've got younger relatives and friends where we haven't heard their voice in 3 years, but we know their text message ding, right? So, but however that communication is, let's make sure that it happens, and to share it with others.
Right.
There's no reason that a friend of ours should have to go through some of the hardships in terms of not the physical care, not the caring for loved ones, not the emotions of watching our loved ones, the situation, not that, but the legal, the financial things, the, hey, did you hear moments, right? Where we need to share those things, with everyone. And one of the things that I've been sharing is, things like bank accounts, to know where they are, who's on them, who's the beneficiary. Is it a pay upon death type of thing, or is there someone else's name that's physically on it, so that if we need to access the money while you can't take care of your finances, someone else has the ability to do that. But it takes those conversations of, how many bank accounts you got? Can I have the numbers? Where's the accounts? Let's go there now. And, I want to see, and we're not going there to see, wow, I didn't know you had $700,000 in this one account and 800. You're a millionaire, and you wouldn't even buy me a milkshake the other day. That's not the purpose of it. You go there and you find out they're a multimillionaire. They're a multimillionaire. You're there to be able to help. But on the same hand, I don't think we should go and look at the account and go, you worked for 52 years for that company and you only got $1.97 in the bank. What did you do with your money? You should have lent it to them grandkids and that one, buying everybody dinner. No. We're not there to judge.
No.
I just want to know. What's your retirement? How much you're getting from because one thing that I didn't know it. I mean, I've heard people talk about it, but no one ever really laid it out to me completely. When it comes to long-term nursing care, right? A nursing home. And you get to the point that you want the government to pay for it. There's only a certain amount of assets you can have, right? You have to spend your money, buy down your assets and all that. I never knew what that meant. I heard people talking about it. I never knew what that meant until when we started thinking about that as a possibility for my mother, and they asked for 5 years of all financial records. Like 5 years? Well, where is it? Where am I going to get those from?
Yeah.
Where am I going to get that stuff from? Well, right over here, I got a file now. of that stuff, and just in case we need it. So again, just sharing information. So we're going to take about 3 more minutes. All right, 3 more minutes. We're going to go Ann, Eugene, and then me. Ann, you have 1 minute. If there's anything that the biggest suggestions that you would make to families, let us know now. What is it? Your biggest, this is Ann's world of caring for seniors and all of that right now. 1 minute, go.
Okay, I would definitely talk to your senior, your mother, your father, definitely now while they're healthy, as to what they want, what their wishes are. Make sure that's put down in writing. Also, make sure you have access to all their bank accounts. Um, and also make sure if your state doesn't have a prescription assistance plan, always ask to work with a social worker in the hospital, because those social workers have access to that prescription companies. If they have any coupons, or if they have any cheaper prices for you on the prescriptions, social workers in hospitals do that kind of thing. They coordinate that kind of thing with you. So I would suggest those things.
All right, great. Thank you. Eugene, it's now your time. If you were writing the Eugene book of caring for seniors and caring for loved ones, what things in 1 minute, what would be in that Eugene Morris Jr. advice? Go.
Yes, I would first have a conversation with your direct loved ones or parents about, again, like Ann said, and yourself, where is all their paperwork and important documents? Number two, have those frank conversations about, if anything gets worse, what do you want me to do? That's very important, because you want to always adhere to your loved ones of how they will want things to go, as far as wills, power of attorneys, if they, progress worse and passively pass, that, certain things are set up a certain way. Thirdly, is just making sure that you tell them you love them, that you care. Set up anything that, that was out there before with loved ones, and the focus should be on them. It's about healing. It's about love. It's about forgiveness. It's about putting things in front of you in that second, in that moment, just to help them, and working as a team, with the doctors, with the pharmacists, with the nurses, and anyone else that's trying to assist, and everybody just work to get them well. That's the most important thing. And just continue on being the advocacy for them, and them for you, because there are a lot of times say, hey, I see you keep moving on. I don't want to wear you out, tire you out. And you're saying the same. And, you just say, I'm here for you and you're here for me. I appreciate you and I love you. And, just keep fighting for them, because, our seniors sometimes are forgotten, but, one day we'll be a senior too. And so we want someone to care for us too.
Mm-hmm.
As I always say, treat others as you would like to be treated, and or better. So that's super important, to me. Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Mine in the Leon book of caring for seniors and all would be 3 points. Mm-hmm. Number one, find out what their wishes are and respect their wishes. Mm-hmm. So find out what they want, put it in writing, and then respect their wishes. The second thing was, don't be afraid to have those tough and real conversations. What do you want? Where's the money? Where's the paperwork? Fill me in, because I want to be your advocate. So we need to have an honest conversation and an exchange of information. And the third point is this: make sure there's communication with siblings and family members. In our family, with my brother, with me and my brother, and I've seen it in so many other families, where the loved one says, I want my children to have access to, or want my children to decide. What we encouraged my mother to do was, no, name a person that you want. Name the person that you want to do it. That way, there's no fighting or anything else later. That person is the one that she wanted to make decisions. But you may consult with and talk with other people. That doesn't mean you don't have input, but you have to have it real simple so that it's simple for everyone, and that you can have love and embrace each other. And so, with that, Eugene and Anne, thank you both for spending time with us here today. Here, I'm going to give you both a wave bye-bye, and I'm going to ask Dr. J, our producer, to bring you all back into the show, because I want to give you another goodbye, all of that.
All
Eugene,
Bye.
thank you.
See you later.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. And this is a great conversation.
Yes.
Dr. J, our producer, thank you. Folks, my name is Leon Thomas. You just watched another episode of Real Thoughts and Conversations, where we talk about real things that sometimes folks don't want to talk about, sometimes things that are controversial but deserve discussion. This wasn't controversy tonight. This was things that we hope folks leave after watching the show, that you say to yourselves, I need to have that conversation with my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, or whoever it is. If you have an idea for a show that would be great for us to have here on Real Thoughts and Conversations, you have an idea for a topic, please send me an email. My name is Leon Thomas, and the email to leonthetrainer@gmail.com. You can watch Real Thoughts and Conversations every Wednesday at 7 o'clock on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And don't forget our two other shows, New Biz Buzz, Mondays at 7, where we talk to business owners whose businesses are new, unique, or do something to help society. And also, we're producing a show for Jasmine Pollock, an up-and-coming broadcaster. The name of her show is Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. That's on Mondays at 8 p.m. So if you want further information about those, just send me an email. I'll send you a link to get connected for those. Thank you again to Anne and Eugene and our producer, Jay, for helping us on this episode of Real Thoughts and Conversations. Let's talk about it.